There is a book that was published originally in Germany and then translated into English called Solar Revolution. And this particular book, written by Dieter Bros, gets into a lot of different ways, especially scientific studies. It's not all philosophy. It's a combination of philosophy and science, kind of like a yin and a yang type of coexistence. But the actual scientific studies on how the sun has affected human behaviors. Now, before I actually start reading the text from this book, it's a great book, by the way. I actually got it from thriftbooks.com. Again, that's thriftbooks.com. This is not a commercial, but I look at thriftbooks.com before I look at Amazon, because it's not Amazon. And you can find cheap books that are out of print, not at Amazon, that are over at Thrift Books. And you can get those books for like $3 or $4. Get a number of them, no shipping. All right, it's not a commercial, but getting back to the actual information. And I've been living this, born into a period or a world, time-space reality of unusually high solar activity, with Mount St. Helens blowing just months after I was born. My birth, just months after Afghanistan was invaded by Russia, which really started the destabilization of Afghanistan, all beginning just months after the period in which I was born. Other upheavals, the disco era. There isn't an accident why I was born then and why I'm alive now. And so I've experienced this through my own life, through knowing people, knowing some people very well, and knowing periods in which they were at a level of peak activity in their field during the solar maximum period, and during a period of less activity in their field or expertise during the solar minimum phase. So I've come to see the solar minimum and solar maximum phase as literally like a yin and a yang, from a maximum perceived to be more masculine to a minimum, some could perceive it to be more feminine. One is inputting, one is outputting. And so there is like this deeper nature of the duality of the era of our time when you really understand the highs and the lows and the solar cycle. It's certainly not about blaming the sun for anything at all, but actually seeing the sun as it's the interconnectedness theory. Everything's connected, we're connected, and the sun has a lot more energy in it than individual human beings. We're affected more by the sun in the solar cycles than each other. We're also affected by each other when we, each other, are affected by the solar cycles. So there's a reason why I definitely prefer to be off the grid as opposed to be in the grid around a lot of humans during the solar maximum portion. When I ever do feel open to living in urban environments or working for others for an extended period of time, it's usually when there's less solar activity or a solar minimum phase. So literally our lives are influenced by cycles that most humans don't even understand. The way I look at it, why not understand it? Who's blaming the sun? Actually, we're trying to understand how the solar cycles could work for us instead of against us. So I'm going to start reading just to give you an idea, right? Remind you that I am not the only one. You are not the only one if you're interested in this topic. And there's not a lot of books. There are not a lot of books. Let me just say this before I start reading this. That is what places the value of books like this. And there's another one over there called Son of God. And there's another book by Mitch Batros by the name of Solar Rain. And so, and we may not entirely agree. I know that Mitch, I sent him a lot of interview requests in the past. And I think that he was really thrown off by the fact that a lot of my information is viewed as conspiratorial. And I think that he has a very, which is not to bash him, right? But people like Mitch, who's been on Coast to Coast for years, they're seen as credible because they stay away from certain types of commentary and they maintain their credibility by not having anything to do with Alex Ansary types. So I am aware of that. I don't hate them for that. And I think that people should be aware of issues like that some of the roads that I go down regarding speculation as to how the power elite uses the knowledge of the solar cycles, that particular perspective, opinion, level of research is not a level of research that, say, on the par of Suspicious Observers, Mitch Batros, Coast to Coast AM, or anybody else has really embraced or thought was something worthy of deeper investigation. Regardless of that, my investigations will continue on that unique position that they, yes, they have knowledge about how humans can be controlled and manipulated emotionally by manufacturing particular events during specific moments of geomagnetic activity. So we'll come back to that thought and make it a special video. Now let's start with the reading. I think the evidence above makes it pretty clear why solar activity and the force field fluctuations provoked by it can induce potent physical and mental reactions in human beings that translate into a broad range of phenomena. The best known of these phenomena is the direct effect of the sun on our mental state, as manifested, for example, by the higher incidence of clinical depression during the winter months in northern climates where sunlight deprivation during long winters can have a highly detrimental effect on the human psyche. This is a relatively straightforward, well-researched phenomena in which light deprivation is the decisive factor. However, the clinical abnormalities associated with solar wind magnetosphere interaction is far more complex. These phenomena involve a number of differentiated effects ranging from sleep disturbance to more serious situations, such as elevated instances of suicidal tendencies. Odd though as it may sound, these tendencies are associated with geomagnetic disturbances to the exact degree as less consequential problems, such as hallucinations or mood swings. What's more, NASA researchers have observed an association between geomagnetic disturbances and heart attacks, sudden infant death syndrome, and a number of other clinical disorders. In short, the sun's effect on you is far more extensive and complex than you might think. This is because we human beings are extremely able receptors of force fields, and thus in some ways are also dependent on these fields, which we interact, which alter our own energy fields. I really don't want to interrupt or change pace, but if we were to go through a pole shift, if we were to go through major geomagnetic flux, I mean, the consequences, either positive or negative, are very, very expansive. So things like riots and people killing each other and things like that, psychotic episodes, and also spiritual breakthroughs and discovering new technologies. These are all things on the extreme behavior magnetosphere chart that could be either good or bad, depending on the person experiencing that change. I know that makes sense to the majority of the viewers, how the individual is actually going to deal with that massive change. But there's ways in which we human beings are dependent on a certain type of climate. And when we see major breakthroughs in the magnetosphere and thinning of the Earth's field and major bombardment with solar flares, anything from floods to fires to lightning to major changes could be so extreme that it could interrupt wholesale human civilization. But maybe that has been the plan of nature all along, which we're a part of. Some people say there's evidence of the universe inside us by studying our own atoms. How do we even really know what we are? But let's go back to the page 39 from Solar Revolution. From the chapter, Our Sun, Our Rendezvous with Destiny? Question mark. How appropriate to bring that up at this moment. The cumulative impact of all kinds of individual effects described above can be characterized by evaluating statistics as overarching tendencies. I am speaking here of tendencies that arise from millions of individual changes that occur against a backdrop of and interact with various physical and mental factors. As strange, though, as it might seem, these tendencies affect the entire human race. In other words, the association between an extremely broad range of signs and symptoms of social crisis on one hand and force field anomalies on the other hand is observed in all human societies. I'll say that again, is observed in all human societies. You could see upheaval in one part of the world or upheaval in a part of the world, and they're fighting over different reasons and different issues. But yet those issues that have been buried for perhaps a decade or so during the previous solar minimum, now they're rising to the surface, and like oil on a pan, it's popping off time. It's popping off. For although these anomalies lie beyond the realm of our senses, they control the active force fields that govern every single aspect of our lives and well-being, from our heart muscle to our willingness to wage war. Here he is, this German author that wrote this book originally in 2009, by the way, the year in which I started writing about solar cycles affecting human behavior for the first time. It was actually my birthday, that article from February 25th, 2009. So I do believe that there is, this is based on the research of Burl Payne, this is based on the research of Alexander Chavinsky, a period of time in which mankind is more willing to off themselves than others. It's like the suicide-homicide combination, waging wars, killing others and killing yourself. And you think about overseas missions. Is it not a suicide? Not to mention what it's doing to our nation's economy and image. But it is a suicide as well as a homicide. So you have this particular behavior of being willing to wage war during these magnetic fluctuations, which I am proposing to you and the entire world that something that's been covertly controlling us knows very well. I'm in shock that modern English-speaking research communities aren't even like around the surface level of this issue. That Alex Ansary stands alone in bringing you that level of perspective. And so, and I'm going to go back to reading. I'm going to let you know right now, bookmark this site. I am going to start populating my website, solarmaxnews.com, with not only information about ongoing geomagnetic, factual-based, right, stuff that's proven, but I'm also going to theorize and speculate openly without fear of criticism or judgment, because I've been doing it for years already on YouTube. And I think that there are elements of the scientific community that would love to pull up some stats on perhaps crime statistics in certain cities like Portland, places that I know. Maybe there's places that you know that are highly energized during solar cycles. Are you of that perspective? I know that I came to this perspective while living in Portland. That it is a place more so than where I'm at now in Colorado, where there is even more of a human response to the solar cycles. I've also seen really strange behavior up here on the hill at 8,000 feet during full moons. An increase in aggression randomly from people that aren't necessarily acting aggressive in the manner in which they drive their vehicles. And I've come to accept it, not take it personally, and not even be afraid of it, but realize like it's nature. It's the full moons, it's the solar flares. It brings more of that masculine, willing to fight over nothing element. And we need to be aware of that, because there are certain periods in which we may not understand why some people may be acting in a provoking manner or willing to wage war, either at the bar or in a uniform or even dressed in a costume as an officer of the quote-unquote law of the moment, of the time-space reality. Let's continue reading. Now, you may be wondering why these complex phenomena has not been brought to light until now. I mean, remind me to just make a children's made for public schools. Yes, the Alex Ansary made for public schools, right? Child's guide to understand how the solar flares affect you. Coming soon to a planet near you. This yawning gap in our knowledge of the key forces that govern our lives is attributable to the extreme specialization that predominates in today's scientific disciplines, which are in fact growing ever more specialized and fragmented. Man, this guy's speaking my language, because everybody's in their own compartmentalization. Right. Everybody's compartmentalized in their own little box, kind of like how the intelligence community is described. Everybody's compartmentalized. The left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing, and vice versa. So we have NASA over here. We got the spiritual groups over here. We got Alex Ansary types over here. We got suspicious observers over here. BP Earthwatch over here. And everybody's like looking at it from a different perspective, from a conspiratorial to a spiritual to an overlapping. Where does it all meet? Where X marks the spot. That's my favorite place in the park. Where does it all meet? Where it's not just one thing what the solar energy and the solar plasma is, the electromagnetic energy. It's not just a portal potentially for spiritual parasites waging war on humanity, using the solar flares like some sort of gateway out of something out of a Stargate episode. It's also something that gives us life. It's also something that provides certain magnetic fields that the botanical world needs to grow. And if the botanical world isn't growing, if we don't have crops that are growing because of needed solar activity, we don't exist. Capiche? I mean, it's down to the most specific level. And by the way, if we keep building our Tower of Babel technologically, right, we could destroy ourselves unless we're humbled by the sun. Humbled by the sun. I saw the sun. I opened. Okay, I won't go that far. I mean, karaoke, there's a time and a place. I'll tell you what, there's no alcohol involved in this video. But now I want to take you forward to his specific citing of a study. I believe it was done in Russia. And so we're going to hear from this. We're going to hear from this, but just for information, let me give you a fact here. The KP index, right, when you go to solar weather, spaceweather.gov, and you go to the lower right-hand side, you might even be feeling it going, I feel like there's a solar flare. Maybe you hear about it from spaceweather.com or you go on the news. You know, there's a way you could see in real time. That's why I have that little geomagnetic update, whether we're in a storm or not, in a full moon or not, at my own website, alexansary.tv. So you can actually be online, and you can actually be feeling that excess of electromagnetic energy combined with all the emotions online that you're interacting with, that you're connected with, corded with, feeling, because you're aware of more than maybe what your parents in this world and modern science told you you were potentially aware of or could be aware of. Oh, you're definitely intertangling with the emotions of others that are on the internet responding to world events. Absolutely. And you can feel it more acutely when you cut yourself off from the internet. And then you come back and it's like whoosh, just a wave of energy. Somebody might even feel extremely lonely without the internet, especially if they're off the grid and it's just them, themselves, and their ideas. And so the whole point bringing up the internet, where was the point in that? Where's the point in that? By going and looking at spaceweather.gov, you can see where the solar cycle is at the moment, literally down to the minute. And it's called the KP index. And that unit of measure was developed at the Potsdam Geophysical Institute in 1949 by Julius Bartel. Okay, so it's a unit of measure for geomagnetic activity. And the KP index has been recognized as a unit of measure by the International Association of Geomagnetism since 1997. Going forward here, this is what I wanted to bring you. And we'll probably close after this. And I want you to look this up on your own. But this is really what it comes down to. Scientific admission of higher than normal suicide attempts or behavioral issues during geomagnetic disturbances. This magnetic influence on the human brain. A recent study that was published in New Scientist, although it was a few years ago, new at the time that he initially wrote this, provides precise data on the correlation between solar storms and health. Again, why during heavy, high energy periods, I don't want to be dealing with other people's drama or feeling it in like a concrete jungle. Nature seems to be a better place for me, and I think for some of you, without all that 5G, Verizon, plus the solar. It's a sandwich of magnetic energy that perhaps, right, we may not want to be bathing around, especially when other people are being affected by it and then showing their mob-like behaviors and tendencies. I mean, that doesn't sound fun. But future dystopian realities seem a little bit more clear when we look at the major solar cycle that we're going into. In this article, the author is the director of the Russian Institute for Industrial Ecology, and he reported in New Scientist the following, quote, here we go, this is the meat. Investigations of geomagnetic fields were conducted between 1947 and 1997. Contrary to expectations, the data showed there was a significant increase in mood swings and suicides on days when the strength of the geomagnetic fields were most intense. Continuing. The study also demonstrated that the pineal gland is mainly responsible for such reactions. The pineal gland is a endocrine gland that develops from a part of the brain This is difficult to enunciate. It is located epithalamus area and regulates the production of the hormone melatonin, which controls the circadian rhythm, natural biorhythm, among other things, and is often used as a jet lag medication. Mainstream doctors do not know as much as they should about the important role played by the pineal gland in human psychology in both Western and Eastern spiritual traditions. The pineal gland has always been regarded as the seat of the soul, with a so-called third eye. The intuitive knowledge was confirmed by the findings of the study to the effect that moods are largely determined by the amount of melatonin that the body produces, and thus by the pineal gland. However, the pineal gland's melatonin output is in turn determined by the geomagnetic field, which means that the geomagnetic disturbances therein have a direct impact on our physical state. This is also another piece of important information. Columbia University psychiatrist, we have a psychiatrist to quote here. Kelly Posner is quoted in the New Scientist article. Quote, the most plausible explanation for the association between geomagnetic activity and depression and suicide is that geomagnetic storms can desynchronize circadian rhythms and melatonin production. Posner also pointed out that geomagnetism can affect the circadian rhythm, which is controlled by the pineal gland, so severely that mental disturbances may occur. The circadian regulatory system depends upon repeated environmental clues to desynchronize internal clocks. Magnetic fields may be one of these cues. Now, the author, right, having quoted that, says this. The author of the book, when I looked at all the measurement data from the various studies side by side, it became clear beyond a shadow of a doubt that the number of work accidents, deaths, births, traffic accidents, amputations, brain injuries increases significantly on days with elevated levels of atmospheric disturbances provoked by phenomena such as atmospherics. Likewise, noteworthy is that according to studies in question, the instance of such events begins to rise even before the day of atmospheric phenomena and remains high thereafter. Now that's another level to this. We could see geomagnetic storms break out after all of a sudden these humans are freaked out about the breakout of war. Through international coverage or even 9/11 style events, there are beliefs that humans can, through heightened fear and emotion, affect the geomagnetic field. People like Burl Payne and Skylab meditation experiments from 1978, people like him have been speculating about the use of meditation and peaceful thoughts to quiet the magnetic field during a period of many humans warring on the planet, right? And if that hasn't sparked your curiosity yet as to what else is in my ebook, which is available for free at alexansary.tv right now at the front page under the featured section of the solar section, I'll be updating that website soon. Here's another thing for you to think about, which wasn't included in the ebook because this information came out in recent years. And I originally wrote that in 2013. The new information is that as far back as 1958 and 1962, our government, has been doing high atmospheric testing of releasing explosions and gauging its ability to impact the Earth's magnetic field. It's said, though, that the impact is very, very low and nothing compared to what the sun can do, but perhaps it still can do something to impact human consciousness on a level when their guitar, if that's what we can call it metaphorically, is tuned, right? Whether the other technologies, harp, others, notice you don't see a lot of videos about that anymore. There might be a cover-up over the release of certain information. I think these different technologies are actually work together. So instead of humankind evolving through these natural magnetic fluxes, even gamma ray bursts, I think things that could really wake us up, they're using unnatural electromagnetic energy to fry our systems and prevent an awakening and to distract us from positive goals and technological breakthroughs, to distract us from that to warring behavior. This is some food for thought. Till the next video, I'm Alex Ansary, reminding you the path to the ultimate truth and place of power still lies within. Check out the ebook at alexansary.tv.